Hey all, Tom Moran here from Tom's Big Spiders. This episode we're going to be taking a look at my Xenesthis species Bright. Billy picked me up a bunch of Xenesthis species back in 2020, and the majority of them are reaching their at least young adult sizes, so it's time for some rehousings. Now, I've done a bunch of other videos featuring other species of Xenesthis, but I know people that are picking these up and spending top dollar amount want to know specific husbandry to whatever species or subspecies or coloration variant. It's really kind of murky with these guys. They want information for that particular species. So I'm going to go ahead and do videos for each species so people can feel confident that at least I'm giving them information about the species they're keeping. So far, I have the Manus, the Intermedia, the Blue, the White, the Bright, the Megascopula, the Tenebris, and somebody else, I think, in there. There's a lot of them out there. So I do understand the confusion over it. The problem is there hasn't been a lot of study of Xenesthis species, and when you get these guys and you look at them, they all tend to look very similar. Although I do have some that are showing some purple off, but I'm thinking those may be males. So anyway, enough of me talking. Let's take a look at the rehousing and some husbandry information for Xenesthis species Bright. All right, so we're about to rehouse my Xenesthis species Bright. Got this girl, or hopefully girl, August of 2020. Got a bunch of them at that time. I had avoided Xenesthis species for quite some time because they were, quite frankly, so expensive. But Billy bought me a bunch of them. I'm glad she did, because now I have just about all of the ones that are currently offered in the hobby, and now I get to compare them. My first thoughts, they are all amazing, but most of them look exactly the same. Like, I could not tell them apart by looking at them. I have a couple that are showing some purple on the legs, which is beautiful, but I have a funny feeling that means I have a male in the future. My Xenesthis species Blue do have very beautiful blue legs, so that's something that makes them stand out. But who knows, once every taxonomists examine this genus, how many species we're going to actually have and how many of them are just color variants of the same species. I had somebody message me on my comments on YouTube thinking that it would just be a genus with a single species in it. When all is said and done, we'll have to see. So anyway, what we're going to do is put her from this enclosure here into this one over here. Billy wants to back up just a bit. I'm trying these out. These are new. I use these clip-it ones for my smaller sling enclosures. I love them. And I saw that they made a larger one, so I ordered a bunch from Walmart. There's about half dozen. And it's the Sterilite ID latch, 12.7 quarts. It goes about 15¼ inches by 11½ inches by about 6 inches deep. Now for substrate in here, I have my own mixture of cocoa peat, or cocoa fiber and peat with a little vermiculite thrown in. I'm trying to use up all my cocoa fiber. We have some leaf litter because I like leaf litter. We have some nice beautiful green sphagnum moss. I have a little starter burrow with a piece of cork bark over here, and she will be getting a nice large water dish. I do keep part of the substrate moist, but I'll let part of it dry out. As for the water dish, I just want to make it be known that I did order water dishes. They didn't come in time. I really wanted to do this video, so she'll be getting a little one of these little deli cups in the meantime, which is not enough. She'll be getting a nice big white ceramic one afterwards. So basically, as slings, I will show some images here. We have them in the M-Design kitchen and pantry storage containers. They go about 6½ inches by 5 inches by 4 inches. However, I would probably go with something larger next time. As a matter of fact, I might even put them in this here, which I have them in for juveniles, because they grow so quickly and they're so gangly. So they outgrew those enclosures very, very quickly. This enclosure here that I have her in as a juvenile is the Systema 1830 clip-it storage container. It measures about 9⅓ inches by 7�¾ inches by about 4½ inches or so. I like these for juveniles. Again, as you can see, these guys put on quite a bit of size when they molt, and she has molted out of this one. She's molted way out of this one and needs a new enclosure. So let's get her out of here. This should be fun. These guys love the kick, hence why I'm wearing long sleeves, hence why I have nice sweaty non-latex gloves on. So we're going to use the Simply Limeade. Just to be clear, I've had a couple people come on and ask why I wanted a sponsorship from Simply Limeade when I don't do ads or anything. That's a joke. Apparently that's not coming across. I honestly do not expect anybody from Simply Limeade to contact me, nor could I even imagine how that would go if they did. It's a funny thing because we use this container so often. So what we're going to do is try to flatten this area out a bit by taking the cork bark out. And we're going to put this down right there. We go. No. Now let me make sure I don't have the legs in there. There's the kicking. quite, she's riding the brush. I don't know if you can get a shot of her or any of that purple. The carapaces are just gorgeous with the purple, but I can never get it to show up really well on cameras. No? All right, so we're just gonna go ahead, get right on in here, and maybe we'll get her in this one. Let me get this out of the way. This is all gonna be covered in hair. I have somebody asked me if I reuse the cork bark. Yes, in theory, I reuse the cork bark. However, right now in my garage, I have 2 huge containers filled with old cork bark covered with web and spider poopy and hairs and dirt that I plan on cleaning up, and I never seem to get around to. I just end up buying more cork bark. So yes, you can reuse it. It's just, you have to make sure you clean it off, or at least I'd like to. All right, so let's get her down in here. That should be fun. Actually, let's just go right through. Gently. There you go. All right, now hopefully this will give Billy a shot. Is the purple coming through?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. All right. Never can get the purple to come through when I take, but I have an Instagram account, and I just use it to kind of post up pictures of my spiders just so I can show people what I have, and I can never get the colors to come out in these guys. So there you can see that purple. They all develop the beautiful purplish carapace. Most of them have those dark legs. They have the red hairs in the butt. Bottom line, they're gorgeous. I just can't, maybe once they put on more size, there'll be, more physical appearance differences. But right now, if you were to take 5 of the ones I have and put them in front of me, I would probably be able to identify the species. Actually, how many species do I have right now? I think I have 6 or 7, 6 different ones maybe? 5 or 6. If you put them in front of me, I'd be able to pick out my species blues. I think I'd be able to pick out my intermedia because that one has a little bit of purple on its legs, and that's about it. The rest of them, it would be a toss-up. But gorgeous spiders, definitely, do you have to get them all? No. Is it worth it to save up and get one? In my opinion, they are. If I had known then what I know now, I would have had one of these guys a long, long time ago. As far as eating's concerned, great eaters. As slings, it was amazing to watch them hunt because they would often grab the prey and then barrel roll with the prey and end up on their backs, which was fun to watch. They were taking larger prey items right off the bat. Again, the slings are very, very leggy and very, very fast. They actually remind me of Theraphosa slings with that gangliness. And then as juveniles, they would eat large crickets, no problem. I'd sometimes drop in 2 or 3. This one here, after it molted recently, I dropped in a large dubia roach. It ate it no problem. A bunch of large crickets, whatever. Slings I feed once a week or twice a week. Juveniles I usually feed once a week, and adults I feed every other week or so, sometimes every 3 weeks, depending how big of meals they got. I don't go crazy. As I've gotten more into the hobby, I've eased back a little bit in my intensive feeding schedules, unless it's something I really want to grow up quick and see what it looks like. And even then, sometimes if you overfeed them or feed them too often, you just end up with a much longer pre-molt period. But this one now, they are, exactly 2 years old, I think. I believe I got them in August of 2020. It is now just the beginning of September 2022, and this one here is about 5 inches. They hit that 4-inch mark very, very quickly, and then they kind of slow down a little bit after that. Reminds me a lot of Formictopus, who can hit 4 or 5 inches in that first year and then tend to slow down a bit. And then temperatures, I've heard people say you need to keep them super warm. I have not found this to be true. At the old house, the temperatures in the summertime were high 70s, sometimes hit 80, 82. In the wintertime, low 70s, sometimes drop into, every once in a while, the 60s. Now that we're in the new place, it's 80 to 85 degrees, 83, 85 degrees in the summertime, so a little bit warmer. And in the wintertime, it's usually around 73, except when it gets super cold for stretches. Sometimes the heat drops a little bit up here for several hours, and it'll get in the 60s. I've had no problems with growth rate at all, but know that the obviously warmer temperatures can lead to faster metabolisms and faster growth rate. And as far as behavior is concerned, mine have all been fairly skittish. They all like to kick hairs. They kick hairs all the time. Will they calm down a bit? This one here didn't kick as much, so maybe they will, but just be aware of that. This is a species I would make sure I had gloves on when I was working with. So there we go, Xenesthis species bright. And I can tell from here, Billy's getting some great pictures of that purple carapace. Beautiful spider, fast growing, very hardy. I found all of them to be quite hardy. So people that are worried about spending a couple $100s on slings and afraid of losing them, I found that they are fairly easy to keep and fairly hardy. So that's something to keep in mind. And obviously just gorgeous spiders when they grow up. So again, does somebody need to collect all of these so-called species of Xenesthis? No, I don't think that's necessary. Pick one that looks good to you, pick it up. They are awesome spiders. I know they're expensive, at least over here in the States, but I do think they're worth the money. So of all the species I mentioned earlier, only the Intermedia and the Manus that are in the hobby are actually described. There's the Monstrosa, which I believe nobody's seen for many, many, many years in the hobby. And if I'm not mistaken, there was a new species described in July, Xenesthis species Colombiana. And that's actually something I just learned about. Now, are one of the ones that are currently being sold, or one of the ones being called bright or blue or whatever, one of these newly described species? I don't know, and I don't know if we'll ever know. But the good news is, with somebody looking out, coming up with the Colombiana, it means that maybe they'll study more of these species, and maybe someday we'll know exactly what we have. But until then, definitely keep them separated. Do not try to breed different colorations or different species to each other. Let's keep them pure until we know exactly what we have. So that will do it for this one. As always, if you liked enough to subscribe, very much appreciate. Click the little circle up in there. I'm going to put probably another Xenesthis species down in video down in here. We'll put something else up here. As always, you take the time to comment. I will take the time to respond. Just know it can take me a couple days because I tend to get a lot of them, and quite frankly, I get busy. So that'll do it for this one, guys. As always, stay safe. We'll catch you all next time.